Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Wrong data, Education Ministry and school associations at odds over teacher shortage issues. Education Minister says no need for concern over teacher migration. And later in sports, West Indies score crucial points in quest for automatic qualification to World Cup. Hi, I'm Javon Keys and here are the details. Questions are being raised about the data used by the Education Ministry to analyze the extent of teacher shortage for the new school term. There's an insistence from at least one group that the gathering of information by the ministry is limited. O'Shane Masters has more.
President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, and President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA Winston Smith, believe the methodology has resulted in an inaccurate assessment. Both associations have warned of chronic teacher shortage for the new term due to mass resignations. However, the minister responded this week to declare that fewer than 90 teachers have so far tendered their resignations. Mr. Wright argues that the way in which the ministry gathered its information was limited, and this has impacted its conclusions.
No canvas really has been done among us as principals, from the ministry standpoint, to say we are not sure how those statistics are going, because really and truly, if you do a canvas among principals about people who have indicated that they want to go, what you don't get, which is really problematic, is that teachers don't send in resignations normally until they are sure about what is going on, so they're going overseas or wherever else they're going. Our problem, is that the minister, in saying that the data she has, we are saying that the data the minister has now cannot be reliable, given the historical experiences I've had. Because we know that anything you do now in the ministry, if you never did some kind of a canvas to get a sense of it, we understand it, get a sense of it, an indication of it, and we need to react to that.
JTA President Winston Smith acknowledges that principals have monthly access to the Education Ministry to share this data, but it does not happen.
The monthly meeting with the ministry in terms of the JTA would depend on hardcore evidence being presented to us, and that data doesn't necessarily come to us like that, because when we have anecdotal evidence to say that such and such a teacher is making preparation or have left, until we have a resignation in hand, we can't say definitively, in an official capacity, having it as a ministry meeting, to say this teacher has resigned.
They were speaking on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines yesterday. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Education Minister Favour Williams is again insisting that there's no need for concern over teachers leaving the profession. She was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106.
We'll continue to work with our principals. We've given guidelines in terms of hiring and so on. And as I said, we'll continue to work with our principals to ensure that, they can fill the vacancies that they have.
According to Mrs. Williams, more teachers could leave the classroom as it draws closer to the end of August.
As of today, I still have the same number of 80 teachers who would have resigned. Could that number increase as we move towards the end of August? It could, because my understanding is that teachers who are leaving generally wait until their August paycheck before they put in that resignation letter.
On to some news on infrastructure. An assessment of the Riley Bridge in Hanover is to be conducted shortly by the National Works Agency, NWA. There have been calls for the state agency to set aside funds to clean the Riley River in the parish, which becomes blocked by debris during heavy rain. Here's O'Shane Masters.
Fire was lit under the bridge at least twice as a means of clearing debris, which many believe led to this week's flooding. It's why State Minister with responsibility for the Western region, Homer Davis, says the assessment by the National Works Agency is necessary, as the safety of the structure could be compromised due to the fire. Residents and councillors have been complaining for some time now about bamboos that constantly wash down to the bridge and cause havoc whenever it rains for a prolonged period or heavily. Following a tour of the area on Wednesday, Mr. Davis pointed out what will be done to clear the area.
We will remove this. Anything that we encounter will be some new bamboo that come into this space. So we're trying to get rid of this.
So as a consummate politician, sir, are you concerned about the bridge structure and the pipes that are obviously burned in the process?
Well, of course I'm concerned about it. And I would make an appeal to whomever will lighten up the bamboo to desist from doing so. Because it's not helping the purpose, right? Because you're damaging the pipe, you're weakening the structure of the bridge.
He says other measures are also being looked at.
Medium term is to look at more extensive work that will be required to shut down the thing, right? And on a long term, I won't say that to you right now.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
In a bid to reduce a garbage nuisance in St. Elizabeth, the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has extended its Drum at the Gate initiative into the parish. As Sandy Williams reports, the state-run agency is also seeking to engage private contractors to help boost garbage collection.
As part of efforts to rid St. Elizabeth of poor garbage collection, the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has expanded its Drum at the Gate initiative in the Holland Village community in the parish. A total of 70 drums were given to the community on Wednesday. Regional Operations Manager for SPM Waste Management, Edward Muir, says the move is aimed at reducing illegal dumping in the area.
We started in Greenville, now we're at Holland Village. Now, this area we gave out 70 drums, so we expect residents now to desist from dumping on the main road and put the garbage in the drums in their community. Now, this is a drive that we're on to sort of move around into communities that we are not normally have on collection schedule.
While acknowledging that the NSWMA is plagued by a lack of resources, Mr. Muir says currently only 4 trucks are assigned to St. Elizabeth. He adds that the state-run entity will be getting 50 additional trucks soon.
Now, come by the end of the year when we get those 2 trucks, we expect to have collection at least once per week. But for the time being, with the limited resources that we have, we try to ensure that we move around the community to see how best we can effectively carry out our mandate.
In the meantime, Mr. Muir says the NSWMA has engaged some operators of private trucks to boost garbage collection in the parish. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
We head to our first break here on the Midday News, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more stories. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The St. Andrew South Police are probing reports that a man who was fatally shot on Seaward Drive in Olympic Garden, St. Andrew last night was killed in reprisal for the murder of reggae legend Tabby Diamond. Genoa Ellis, a resident of Seaward Drive, Kingston 20, was killed at about 10 o'clock. Investigators recovered 17 spent casings and 11 bullet fragments at the scene. Head of the St. Andrew South Police, Senior Superintendent Kirk Ricketts, told our news center that investigators are probing allegations that the deceased was associated with men behind the murder of Tabby Diamond. He said the killing is part of the ongoing conflict between men from Winch Road and McKinley Crescent in the division. 67-year-old Tabby Diamond, whose given name was Donald Shaw, and another individual identified as Owen Beckford were fatally shot on March 31 when a gunman opened fire on a group outside a shop on McKinley Crescent. The Jamaican Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, has given a charge to members to ramp up their exports to CARICOM countries. JMEA President John Mafood said, as it is now, Jamaican companies are not taking enough advantage of the markets in Caribbean countries.
There's a serious imbalance in trade between Jamaica and CARICOM. We import significantly more than we export to the region. And we must take advantage of this larger market that is available through CARICOM. The population of the English-speaking Caribbean islands are the same as ours, but they have 3 or 4 times the purchasing power.
He stressed that if more local companies are to achieve greater growth, they must look beyond just selling to Jamaican
We have 3 million
consumers.
people, but there are 3 million mostly poor people, and you can only grow your business so much selling in Jamaica alone.
And we now head to the world of business. Here's O'Shane Masters.
Listed company iCreate raked in more profit in its second quarter ended June. Post-tax earnings amounted to $6.4 million against the $2.53 million generated in the same period last year. The company also registered more income for the quarter at $34.5 million. For the same period last year, the company made $15.44 million. The company says its strong performance was impacted by a mix of new business clients and its existing opportunities across its divisions, including digital marketing and advertising. Jamaica received almost $2 billion in official development assistance (ODA) for 2021. The latest Economic and Social Survey of Jamaica showed that new and ongoing projects funded with ODA totaled $1.9 billion or 288.1 billion Jamaican dollars. Support for local development projects was also supported by funds from international development partners and external government support of $72.6 million. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm O'Shane Masters.
And from business to news on the regional and international scene, here's Sandy Williams.
Bermuda is to start allowing unvaccinated tourists into the island. Health Minister Kim Wilson announced that the new rule will come into effect next Monday. The announcement came as Bermuda's active COVID-19 cases fell sharply over the last week, down to 144. 7 people are being treated in hospital, but none is in intensive care. The easing of rules against the virus follows the major step taken on April 1 of dropping mask requirements in many of the island's public settings. On the international scene, according to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, inflation in the UK hit a 40-year high of 10.1% in July. Food and non-alcoholic drinks were the largest contributors to rising prices last month, with energy, petrol, and diesel costs also affecting inflation. The figure, up from 9.4% in June, is a higher rate than analysts had predicted, and the first time inflation is in double digits since 1982. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And that's where we'll have to leave things for the Midday News package. Join us next at 7 p.m. for Prime Time News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, I'm Javon Keys. Good afternoon.